It gets worse yet. In an act of breathtaking injustice, which the Obama campaign lied about until critics produced documentary proof of what he had done as an Illinois state senator, Obama opposed legislation to protect children who were born alive, either as a result of an abortionist's unsuccessful effort to kill them in the womb, or by the deliberate delivery of the baby prior to viability. This legislation would not have banned any abortions. Indeed, it included a specific provision ensuring that it did not affect abortion laws. This is one of the points Obama and his campaign lied about until they were caught. The federal version of the bill passed unanimously in the United States Senate, winning the support of such ardent advocates of legal abortion as John Kerry and Barbara Boxer, but Barack Obama opposed it and worked to defeat it. For him, a child marked for abortion gets no protection, even ordinary medical or comfort care, even if she is born alive and entirely separated from her mother. So, Obama has favored protecting what is literally a form of infanticide. You may be thinking, it can't get worse than that. But it does. For several years, Americans have been debating the use of biomedical research for embryos produced by in vitro fertilization, originally for reproductive purposes, but now left in a frozen condition in cryopreservation units. President Bush had restricted the use of federal funds for stem cell research of the type that makes use of these embryos and destroys them in the process. I support the president's restriction, but some legislatures with excellent pro-life records, including John McCain, argue that the use of federal money should be permitted where the embryos are going to be discarded or die anyway as a result of the parent's decision. Senator Obama, too, wants to lift the restriction. But Obama would not stop there. He has co-sponsored a bill strongly opposed by McCain that would authorize the large-scale industrial production of human embryos for use in biomedical research in which they would be killed. In fact, the bill Obama co-sponsored would effectively require the killing of human beings in the embryonic stage that were produced by cloning. It would make it a federal crime for a woman to save an embryo by agreeing to have the tiny developed human being implanted in her womb so that he or she could be brought to term. This clone and kill bill would, if enacted, bring something to America that has heretofore existed only in China, the equivalent of legally mandated abortion. In an audacious act of deceit, Obama and his co-sponsors misleadingly call this an anti-cloning bill. But it is nothing of the kind. What it bans is not cloning, but allowing the embryonic children produced by cloning to survive. Can it get still worse? Yes. Decent people of every persuasion hold out the increasingly realistic hope of resolving the moral issue surrounding embryonic stem cell research by developing methods to produce the exact equivalent of the embryonic stem cells without using or producing embryos. But when a bill was introduced in the United States Senate to put a modest amount of federal money into research to develop these methods, Barack Obama was one of the few senators who opposed it. From any rational vantage point, this is unconscionable. Why would someone not wish to find a method of producing the pluripotent cells scientists want that all Americans could enthusiastically endorse? Why create and kill human embryos when there are alternatives that do not require the taking of nascent human lives? It is as if Obama is opposed to stem cell research, unless it involves killing human embryos. This ultimate manifestation of Obama's extremism brings us back to the puzzle of his pro-life Catholic and evangelical apologists. They typically do not deny the facts I have reported. They couldn't. Each one is a matter of public record. But despite Obama's injustices against the most vulnerable human beings, and despite the extraordinary support he receives from the industry that profits from killing the unborn, which should be a good indicator of where he stands, some Obama supporters insist that he is the better candidate from the pro-life point of view. They say that his economic and social policies would so diminish the demand for abortion that the overall number would actually go down, despite the federal subsidizing of abortion and the elimination of hundreds of pro-life laws. The way to save lots of unborn babies, they say, is to vote for the pro-abortion, pro-choice candidate. They tell us not to worry that Obama opposes the Hyde Amendment, the Mexico City policy against funding abortion abroad, parental consent and notification laws, conscience protections, and the funding of alternatives to embryo-destructive research. They ask us to look past his support for Roe v. Wade, the Freedom of Choice Act, partial birth abortion, and human cloning and embryo killing. An Obama presidency, they insist, means less killing of the unborn. This is delusional.